Right, it's time for business, and guess who's back? Sandra Sefoji is back with the business news. Oh, yeah, Sefoji, right? I got it right.
Okay.
Mrs. Sandra Sefoji.
Yeah, but I'm still Sandra, and I'm afternoon.
Oh, okay. Okay, Sandra.
Israel, I missed you. All right, let's do business. Good evening and welcome to business. My name is Sandra S. and I'm the founder of Defense Capital Bank, William Atoesian, and 3 other directors of the institutions have been slapped, as you may be aware by now, with 26 charges, including stealing. You have details in this report.
The state in the suit accused the 3 of stealing 100 million cedis belonging to the bank. This relates to their roles leading to the collapse of Capital Bank. The Attorney General, Gloria Kufu, last month indicated that persons who had contributed to the collapse of the banks will be prosecuted. According to a charge sheet cited by Joy Business, other directors of the bank, including Tete Nete, Kate Kote Papafio, and Fitzgerald Odonko, were also charged. The suit also accused the former chief executive, together with the directors, of stealing some 100 million cedis. From the charge sheet, the founder of the bank, William Atoesian, in January 2016, dishonestly appropriated the sum of 35 million cedis. The state is also charging the founder and others for money laundering and some criminal offence. For some, the move could be seen as part of measures to recover from directors of these defunct banks. William Atoesian, in a recent interview with Metro TV, denied these charges, insisting that he was innocent. Government, on the other hand, had maintained that he believed these directors have a case to answer in court. According to the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, about 14 billion cedis has been spent on these collapsed banks. Many would be looking forward to see what would happen in court and what defense the accused directors would put up.
All right, we still stay on that development, and meanwhile, financial consultant Charles Mensah has been commenting on the development, and he's actually saying that this will boost the confidence of the banking sector.
It's taking far too long, and I'm sure that the prosecution have done quite a sizable job. The defense would have access to that, and then they can also look at it and say, okay, this is it. If the defense look into it and they realize that, look, they are guilty as charged, that will be fine. But if they look at it and say, no, the cases that have been stated is not correct, they will adduce their reasons, and I'm sure we'll have judgment which everybody will be happy with it. Because in financial market, rumors doesn't help. So as soon as we begin to hear the court and the details, it will spare away all the rumors and we'll deal with facts and not opinions of individuals that have been commenting. It's just facts.
So stay tuned for more of that interview with Charles Mensah when I return with business news after 8 p.m. In other news tonight, the World Bank is warning restrictions on goods exported by some African countries would hurt the Continental Free Trade Agreement. The warning is coming at a time that Nigeria has placed restrictions on imports from other West African countries. Charles IT was at a World Bank event which saw the release of the Africa Pulse report.
The World Bank Group says removing non-tariff barriers and prioritizing regional value chains ahead of the Continental Free Trade Agreement area is the best way to deal with the closure of trade borders by some economies like Nigeria. The country had recently shut down its borders to Benin and other neighboring countries over concerns of smuggling. Responding to this development, Chief Economist for Africa at the World Bank, Albert Zufak, explained that extreme poverty will be alleviated, especially among landlocked economies, if this solution is applied.
Future growth, there are at least 3 things that need to be done. The first is to ensure that we integrate or create regional value chains. Integrate global value chains as much as possible, but the African market itself is 1.2 billion people and can clearly be a huge source of growth within the continent. The second thing is that for regional value chains to emerge, not only do we need to start thinking region instead of thinking country, and then address those issues of protectionism within Africa or micro-nationalism within Africa. We need to address those. But most importantly, we need to address the issues of non-tariff barriers.
Meanwhile, the World Bank, in the 20th edition of the Africa Pulse report, states that growth in sub-Saharan Africa remained slow through 2019. The bank attributed these factors to the slow pace of domestic reforms in respective economies.
Countries like Ethiopia, Rwanda, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire are still growing above 7%. These are our growth champions on the continent, but they are also among the fastest growing economies in the world. Six other countries in Africa are growing above 6%. And these would include Benin, Mauritania, Niger, Senegal, Uganda, and Burkina. So overall, we do have 10 economies in Africa still growing above 6%. But it's also important to highlight that the three largest economies in Africa, Nigeria, South Africa, and Angola, are still having extreme difficulty recovering from the recessions that they have experienced over the past 2 years. And growth is therefore drawing the average in sub-Saharan Africa down.
Meanwhile, projected growth in sub-Saharan Africa is expected to rise to 2.6% in 2019 from 2.5% in 2018. This represents a 0.2 cut in forecast in April.
Now, the Bank of Ghana has increased the amount of dollars it sells to commercial banks and dealers. The move, we understand, was influenced by some pressure on the local currency over the past days. There's more in the following Business Desk report.
Sources say about $40 million changed hands on the currency market on Monday. This follows a pickup in dollar demand by corporate firms over the last few days. The rate at which the central bank sold these dollars to banks also went up marginally, trading at around 5 cedis 36 pesos and 5 cedis 42 pesos. These were mainly rates that the central bank was offering to the commercial bank. However, analysts have argued that they don't see the situation getting out of hand because of the Bank of Ghana's strong reserves. This is because we are hearing that the central bank's reserves have reached more than $9 billion following inflows from the cocoa loan syndication. Some have also argued that the real test for the Ghana cedi would come during the last month of this year, when businesses demand more dollars to finance their import for the first half of next year.
Are you a consumer of Voltic mineral water? If you are, you may have noticed a change in its bottle. The company says it's all part of a recycling campaign. I have details coming up, but first, let's go to the hospitality industry with a focus on customer service challenges. This is the Business News Summaries.
As part of the Customer Service Week on the theme Service is Magical, the Chamber for Tourism Industry Ghana has trained the general managers of Ghana's 50 top hotels in Ghana. Out of every 11 people employed in the world, 1 person is from the tourism industry, including hospitality. At the Customer Service Masterclass, more than 85% of all participants agreed the major challenge for the hotel industry today is customer service. The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, Mr. Yofi Grant, has been elected as the Director representing Sub-Saharan Africa of the World Association of Investment Promotion Agency. His election was after a meeting that ended at Warsaw, the capital of Poland, on Tuesday, 8th October 2019. Voltic Ghana Limited, producers of Voltic natural mineral water, has introduced a new twisted bottle as part of its goal to drive home the recycling message and remain eco-friendly. According to a Daily Graphic report, the new twisted bottle, which has 7% less plastic, gives consumers the ease of twisting the bottle after consumption, as the company continuously develops sustainable ways to manufacture, distribute and sell its products.
All right, that's all for business for now. Thanks so much for your time. When I return after 8 p.m., we do have more and that interview with Charles Mensah. Stay tuned.